The doctors pulled the sheet over his face. His father, the most feared man in Los Angeles, dropped to his knees. And then a homeless woman walked in and did something that made every surgeon in that room step back in silence. But what she did not know was this: saving his son did not free her. It chained her to a world she was never supposed to see. And the price of that chain? It would cost her everything. The storm hit Los Angeles like a punishment. Rain tore through downtown, shaking the thin walls of makeshift shelters. Inside one, near 6th Street, Kendra sat on the cold floor, 26 years old. Thin. Strong. Her jacket was torn at the sleeve, shoes full of holes. But her eyes told a different story. Sharp. Calculating. Always planning the next move. 3 years on the streets had taught her everything. Which shelters locked at 9, which gas stations let you use the bathroom without buying anything, how to stretch one meal across 2 days. Kendra was not waiting to be saved. She had stopped believing in that a long time ago. A fight broke out in the shelter over a blanket. She grabbed her backpack and walked into the rain. The hospital was 4 blocks away. She had slept in that lobby before, so she pushed through the glass doors, found a chair in the corner, and tried to disappear. But that night, the hospital was different. Chaos. Nurses running, doctors shouting, and standing in the center of it all, a man she had never seen before. Tall, black suit that cost more than everything she owned. But it was not the suit that made her notice him. It was his face. Jaw tight, eyes red but dry. He stood like a man holding up a falling building with his bare hands. Jin-Ho Kim, 58, owned half the shipping ports on the West Coast. Judges knew his name. Prosecutors feared it. He had built an empire on blood and silence. But tonight, none of that mattered, because his son, June, 28, was lying on a stretcher with a flatlined heart monitor. The doctors had called it. His son was gone. Jin-Ho's eyes scanned the room and landed on Kendra. Something about her made him stop. Not pity, recognition, like she had seen death before and did not look away. He walked to her. His shadow fell over her like a curtain. "Please," he said, his voice cracked. "I need you." She did not know why she followed, but she did. He led her to a room at the end of the hallway. A young man lay still on the bed, skin pale, lips turning blue, machines silent. "The doctors gave up," Jin-Ho whispered. "I'm not a doctor," Kendra said softly. But she sat on the edge of the bed, placed her warm hands over his cold ones, and leaned close. "You do not get to leave. Not like this." She was not performing medicine. She was performing something older. The stubborn, raw refusal to let someone go. Hope that had been sharpened by years of sleeping on concrete and waking up anyway. 1 minute passed, 2. Then a flicker, a twitch in his fingers, a rise in his chest. 1 beep, then another, then steady. Faint, but real. June was breathing. The surgeon who had declared him dead stared at the monitors, then stared at Kendra, the homeless woman sitting on the bed holding a dead man's hands. Except he was not dead anymore. Jin-Ho's mask fell. For 1 second, he was just a father. Then the mask returned. He looked at Kendra, and she saw something in his eyes that frightened her more than anything on the streets. Not gratitude, calculation. He pulled out his phone. 2 words. "Bring her in." He hung up, looked at her one last time, and smiled. Not a warm smile, not a kind smile. The smile of a man who had just found something useful. Sometimes our greatest gift is the one the world says we cannot afford to give. Kendra had nothing, but she carried something no surgeon possessed: the refusal to give up on a stranger. In a world built on debts and power, Kindness is never free, and the man at the foot of that bed was already deciding what hers was worth. Kendra woke up in a bed she did not recognize. Silk sheets, floor-to-ceiling windows, a wardrobe full of clothes in her exact size. Her torn backpack, the one that held everything she owned, was gone. Her pulse spiked. On the streets, slow eyes get you robbed. She checked the bedroom door. Unlocked. Checked the windows. Sealed shut. This was not generosity. This was preparation. Someone had planned this before she ever agreed to stay. She found Jinho at the end of a long marble hallway. Different suit, same stillness. He did not turn around when he spoke. You slept 14 hours. The doctor said your body was running on almost nothing. Dehydration, malnutrition. "Where is my bag?" Kendra asked. Steady voice, the same tone she used when someone on the streets tried to take something from her. "Safe. Nothing was taken." "Then give it back." He turned slowly. Something flickered across his face. Respect or recognition. "My son was dead," he said. His heart stopped for nearly 10 minutes. The best surgeons in the city gave up on him. And then you walked in, held his hand, and he came back. Kendra said nothing. She remembered. The cold skin, the silent machines, the single beep that broke through. "In my world," Jinho continued, "deaths are sacred. You saved my only son. That is not something I leave unpaid." The weight of his words pressed against her chest. His authority was not loud like the men on the streets. It lived in the pauses between his sentences. That made it far more dangerous. "Stay here," he said. "Food, clothes, medical care, safety, everything the streets never gave you. In return, stay close to my son while he heals. Whatever you did in that room, I want you near him until he is safe." "You want me to be his nurse?" "You want me to be whatever it was that brought him back." Kendra stared at him. Every warm meal from a stranger, every offer of a ride, every kind smile that wanted something in return, she had learned to ask the price before accepting the plate. "I am not your employee. I am not your charity case, and I am not staying in a house where I need permission to leave." "You can leave any time." "Then I will leave now." "You can, but winter will get worse. The shelters are full. And my son's heart stopped for 10 minutes. He paused. "I do not believe in coincidence, Kendra." He said his name like he had known it for years. She weighed the offer. Logic said run, but the part of her that remembered frostbitten toes and 48 hours without food said something different. Survive first, ask questions later. "I come and go as I please. No one follows me. No one touches my things." Agreed. He led her to June's room, and there he was, sitting upright, awake, dark eyes sharp and alert. Even wounded, he held himself like someone never taught how to look small. "You are the one they are all whispering about," June said. "And you are the one who almost died, so maybe worry about that first." Something moved behind his eyes. A spark, brief, like a match struck in a dark room. That night, Kendra stood by her bedroom window, looking at the city below. Somewhere down there was the life she left behind. Hard, hungry, cold, but free. Then she heard it, Jinho's voice through the door. Low, cold, different from the man who had spoken to her that morning. "She does not leave this house. I do not care what she agreed to. She is leverage now, and leverage does not walk out the front door." Kendra stepped back. Her hands shook, not from fear, from anger. She had heard that word before, on the streets, in shelters, every place where someone with power looked at someone without it and saw a tool instead of a person. Leverage. She sat on the edge of the bed, jaw tight, eyes hard. The deal she agreed to and the deal Jin-ho was running were two very different things, and Kendra had survived too long to ever be someone's tool again. Would you stay in a house where the doors are open but leaving might cost you everything? If stories like this pull you in, subscribe, because Kendra just discovered why she is really here, and what she does next will shock you. When someone offers you everything for free, the price is usually your freedom. Always read the terms no one says out loud. Kendra did not sleep that night. She sat in the dark, turning one word over in her mind like a stone she could not put down. Leverage. By morning, she had made a decision. She was not going to run. Running is what they expected. Instead, she was going to learn. Learn the house, learn the people, learn the exits, and then decide when and how she would leave on her own terms. The Kim estate sat on a hill above the city. White stone walls, iron gates. 3 buildings connected by covered walkways. From the outside, it looked like a resort. Kendra did not see beauty. She saw systems. She counted 12 armed men, rotating every 4 hours, 2 at the front gate, 2 at the back, the rest moving in patterns she memorized within 2 days. 26 cameras on the ground floor alone, tucked high in corners where most people would never look, but Kendra had spent years looking up. The staff never spoke to her. A cook named Bora who avoided eye contact, 2 housekeepers who moved like ghosts, 2 nurses checking June every 3 hours. Nobody smiled at Kendra. Nobody asked how she was. She was inside the house, but still invisible. That suited her fine. Invisible people see everything. On the 3rd morning, she found June sitting upright in his room, a book open on his lap. His color was stronger, the bandages thinner. Whatever had almost killed him was losing its grip. "You walk like someone who does not want to be heard," he said, "and you watch doors like someone expecting trouble." They sat in comfortable silence, the kind that only happens between 2 people used to being alone. "What did you do before the streets?" he asked, not with pity, with real curiosity. 11 foster homes before I turned 18. When I aged out, nothing was waiting. No family, no savings. The streets were just the next room in a house that never wanted me. June closed his book. "I grew up here, had everything. Tutors, cars, trips anywhere I pointed on a map. People bowed when my father walked in, so they bowed to me." He looked at his hands. "But I did not choose any of it. You had nothing and survived. I had everything and still feel like I am suffocating." "At least suffocation means you are still breathing," she said quietly. Something shifted between them. Not romance, something more dangerous. Understanding. 2 people on opposite ends of the world recognizing the same wound. The next day, Kendra pushed deeper into the house. She passed Jin Ho's office, guarded by his lieutenant, Tae-sun, 35, built like a weapon. "This area is private," he said. She played lost, but through the gap in the door, she saw it. A wall covered with photographs, maps, red string connecting names. Not a business office, a war room. This was not a family estate. The guards were soldiers, the cameras were surveillance, and Jin-ho was not a businessman. He was a boss. That evening, Kendra found a locked door on the 3rd floor, tucked between bookcases. Old lock. She'd been picking locks since she was 14. 30 seconds. Click. Inside, a small, dusty room. A desk, filing cabinets, and on the back wall, dozens of photographs pinned in rows with Korean names beneath them. In the center, larger than the rest, one photograph. A young woman, dark skin, full lips, warm eyes carrying something heavy, a small scar near her left eyebrow. Kendra's hands went cold, because the woman in that photograph had her face. Not similar, identical. the same scar she saw every time she looked in a mirror. Beneath it, written in faded ink, Sue Yan Park. Kendra had never heard that name, but she knew with absolute certainty, whatever this room was hiding, it was about her. Kendra did not wait until morning. She pulled the photograph from the wall and went straight to Jinho's study. She placed it on his desk, face up, right next to his glass. Jinho looked at it. His expression did not change, not even a flicker. That told her everything. He was not surprised. He had been waiting for this. "Who is she?" Kendra asked. Her name was Sue Yan Park. She worked for this family 25 years ago, a translator, Korean to English. She handled contracts, communications, sensitive documents. Why does she look like me? Jinho set the photograph down, and for the first time, he looked at her without calculation, with something that almost resembled sadness. "Because she was your mother, Kendra." The words landed like a fist. Kendra did not move, did not blink. She held her ground the way she had learned on the streets. You do not flinch, you do not show weakness. Not until you understand what is happening. "I grew up in the foster system, 11 homes. No one ever told me anything about my parents." "That was by design," Jinho said quietly. "By whose design?" "Mine." The air left the room. Sue Yan was brilliant, trusted with information very few people ever see. 25 years ago, during a conflict with a rival family, she disappeared. She carried sensitive material that could have destroyed both organizations, and she had a daughter, a baby, less than a year old. Kendra's hands trembled. She pressed them flat against her legs. The baby was placed in the foster system under a new name, clean identity, no connection to this family, done to protect her. Protect her? Kendra's voice dropped. Dangerous. You call 11 foster homes protection, sleeping under bridges at 19, 3 years homeless? Jinho looked away, just for a second, long enough for her to see something buried deep beneath the stone. Guilt. Small, but alive. "You knew who I was the night you found me, before you said please, before you asked to help your son." "Yes." "Then why now? You had 25 years, when I was hungry, when I was freezing, when I was 15 sleeping in a parking garage." Jinho walked to the window. "Because my son was dying, and I needed something I could not buy." Kendra wanted to throw his glass through the window, wanted to burn this house down, but she had learned something on the streets that warm houses never teach. Anger is a fire. You can let it burn you, or you can let it light your way. "Where is she, Soo-yeon? Where is my mother?" 5 seconds of silence. 5 seconds that felt like 5 years. She did not survive the conflict. The grief hit in waves. For a woman she had never known but felt in her bones, in the place where daughters carry their mothers even when the world separates them. She turned toward the door, eyes dry. She would not give him her tears. "You are safer inside these walls," Jinho said behind her. "The people who took your mother are still out there." "Then let them find out about me," Kendra said, and she walked out. The tears came in the hallway, silent. Hot. She slid down the wall and sat on the cold marble floor. Then footsteps. June appeared. He saw her on the floor, did not ask if she was okay, did not offer empty words. He sat down beside her, close enough that she felt the warmth of his shoulder against hers. Silence. Then she spoke. "Your father killed my mother." June's breath stopped. "What?" "Not directly, but he put her in a world that took her life. Then he hid me for 25 years. He did not defend his father, did not make excuses. He sat with the truth and let it cut him. "I did not know," he said. His voice was raw. "I swear to you, Kendra." She believed him, not because she trusted easily, because she had spent every day watching him, and June had never lied to her face. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a phone. Small, black, no tracker, no connection to his father. If you ever need to run, use this. I will not stop you, and I will not tell him. She took it. Their fingers touched. Neither pulled away. He was choosing her over his bloodline. She was choosing to trust someone for the first time in years. He gave her a way out. But would you use it or stay to uncover the full truth? Subscribe. This secret runs deeper than blood. And if you are watching and still have not subscribed, tell me in the comments, what's holding you back? The truth about where you come from does not define you, but ignoring it gives other people power over your story. The moment you demand the truth, you take that power back. A week passed. Kendra stayed, not because she was trapped, because she needed answers, and because June was the first person who had ever chosen her side without wanting something in return. Or so she believed. He took her to the rooftop one night. The city glittered below like scattered diamonds. Cold air, clear sky, the kind of view that makes you forget just for a second that the building beneath you is built on blood. He told her about growing up as a Mafia heir, the loneliness, the weight of being shaped into something before you ever get to choose, the violence he was taught to call normal. She told him about the first winter she almost did not survive, about teaching herself to read in a public library because no one cared enough to teach her. Two people from the opposite ends of the world finding the same wound, abandonment, the kind that doesn't go away just because someone gives you a roof. He traced the scar on her wrist, not from self-harm, from a fight she won on the streets at 19. "You are the strongest person I have ever met," he said. "I had to be. No one was coming to save me." The air between them tightened. He leaned closer. She did not pull back. The kiss was slow, charged, terrifying for both of them, because both knew it changed everything. Two worlds that were never supposed to touch. A homeless woman and a Mafia heir, standing on a rooftop above a city that would destroy them if it knew. Then the door slammed open. Tae-sun, eyes wild, voice sharp. The Bait clan hit the Inchin warehouse. 3 men dead. It's war. June's face transformed. The gentle man she had just kissed disappeared, replaced by the heir his father raised. Cold, focused, dangerous. He left without a word. Kendra stood alone on the rooftop. The city lights below no longer looked like diamonds. They looked like flames. Within an hour, the estate shifted. More guards, more weapons, voices behind closed doors. Jinho moved through the house like a general preparing for battle. He summoned Kendra. The warmth from their earlier conversations was gone. He was pure strategy now. "The Bakes know you're here. They know what you mean to my son. That makes you a target. I can handle myself. Not against these people. You have 2 choices. Accept full protection inside this compound, or leave and face them alone. And alone means alone, Kendra. No phone call will save you." It was not a choice. It was a cage with 2 doors, both leading to the same room. "I will stay," she said, "but not for your protection." She looked at him, straight, fearless. "My mother, Su-yan, you said she disappeared. You said she did not survive." Kendra stepped closer. "But that is not the full story, is it?" Jinho's face went still, the kind of still that only happens when someone hears a question they hoped would never come. He said nothing, and his silence told her more than any words ever could. Love does not wait for safe conditions. It arrives in chaos, and surviving it requires the same courage as surviving anything else. Kendra refused to let the question die. She pushed June. June pushed the one person in the house who knew everything. Halmoni Choi, 74. sharp as a blade. She had served the Kim family for 40 years, loyal to the name, but haunted by old sins. When Kendra sat across from her and placed the photograph of Soo-yeon on the table, the old woman's hands started to shake. "She did not disappear," Halmoni Choi said. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "She was killed." Kendra felt the words land in her chest like stones dropped into deep water. 25 years ago, during a turf war between the Kims and the Becks, Soo-yeon was targeted, not by accident. The Beck family went after her specifically because she carried information that could destroy both families. What information? Halmoni Choi looked at the door, then back at Kendra. The Kim and Beck families share a common origin. Decades ago, they were one family, one bloodline, a secret alliance that both patriarchs buried when the empire split. If that truth ever surfaced, every power structure both families built would collapse. Kendra stared at her. "And my mother knew?" "Your mother had proof, documents, records. She was going to bring them to light, and for that, they silenced her." "Who pulled the trigger?" Halmoni Choi swallowed. "The Becks gave the order, but the door—" She stopped. Her eyes filled with something old and heavy. "The door was left open by someone inside this house." The meaning was clear. Jin Ho did not kill Soo-yeon directly, but he made it possible. He chose his empire over her life. Kendra's body went cold, then hot, then cold again. She had a mother, a brilliant, brave woman who tried to expose the truth, and the man who offered Kendra silk sheets and safety was the same man who let that woman die. Halmoni Choi reached across the table and touched Kendra's hand. "You are not just connected to the Kim's child. You are the living proof of the secret both families would kill to keep buried." June confronted his father that night. The argument shook the walls. Kendra heard it from 2 rooms away. June's voice cracking with rage. Jin Ho's voice steady, controlled, infuriating. "Did you bring her here to protect her or to control the secret she carries?" Jin Ho's answer was devastating in its honesty. "Both." Kendra stood in the hallway listening, and something inside her hardened. She stopped being the woman things happened to. She became the woman who decided what happened next. "If I am the secret everyone is afraid of, then maybe it is time I stop being afraid of it too," she said when June came to find her. June looked at her, not with pity, not with fear, with something that looked like awe. That night, alone in her room, the phone June had given her buzzed. One message, from a number she did not recognize. 3 words: "I know everything." Kendra's blood went still. She had not given this number to anyone. June swore it was untraceable, yet someone had found it, someone who was not part of the Kim family. She stared at the screen for a long time. Then she typed back 2 words. "Who are you?" The reply came in seconds. "The man the Kims never told you about, Sang-woo Beck. The enemy's heir, contacting her directly on the phone that was supposed to be her escape." Kendra set the phone down. Her hands were steady now. Fear had come and gone. What replaced it was something sharper. Purpose. The enemy knows her secret. The man she is falling for kept it from her, and the phone she thought was her escape just became her biggest threat. Subscribe. This story does not forgive quitters. And if you are still here without subscribing, drop a comment. Tell me what's stopping you. You cannot outrun your history, but you can choose whether it buries you or builds you. The truth is only dangerous when someone else controls it. Kendra did not tell June about the message, not out of distrust, out of strategy. If Sang-woo Beck contacted her directly, he wanted something, and Kendra had spent her entire life negotiating from positions of weakness. She knew how to survive a conversation where the other person held more cards. She arranged a meeting. Public cafe. Neutral ground. She went alone. Sang-woo Beck was nothing she expected. 30 years old, polished, soft-spoken, charming in a way that felt rehearsed. He sat across from her with a cup of tea he never touched, and eyes that missed nothing. He did not threaten her. He offered her something worse: the truth. Jin-ho did not just fail to protect your mother, Sang-woo said calmly. He ordered the silence. When Soo-yun tried to go public with proof of the Kim-Bep alliance, your precious host chose his empire over her life. The Becks pulled the trigger, but Jin-ho opened the door. Kendra kept her face blank. She had already suspected this, but hearing it spoken out loud by the enemy in a quiet cafe on a Tuesday afternoon made it real in a way that hurt differently. "What do you want from me?" she asked. Sang-woo leaned back. "I want you to be free, really free. Not Jin-ho's pet project, not June's redemption story. Yourself." The words landed because they echoed the thing she had been feeling but refusing to name. She returned to the estate shaken. June sensed it. She deflected. He did not push, but the distance between them was new, and it stung. Jin-ho noticed too. Tae-sun reported that cameras caught Kendra leaving the compound. Jin-ho did not confront her. He did something worse. He tested her. He gave her access to a room full of documents about the Kim family's operations. A loyalty test. If she told June what she found, she was still theirs. If she stayed silent, she had been compromised. Kendra read the documents, every page, and she found something neither Jin-ho nor Sang-woo had told her. A federal case file, sealed but partially visible. Her mother's name listed not as translator, not as an employee, as an informant. Soo-yun Park had been working with federal investigators, building a case against both families from the inside. She wasn't just brave, she was strategic, methodical, and the case she had been constructing 25 years ago, it was still open. The investigation was never closed. Somewhere in a government building, in a filing cabinet, or a secure database, the work her mother started was sitting, waiting, unfinished. Kendra closed the file, placed it back exactly where she found it, and sat in the dark for a long time. Now she held 3 weapons: the knowledge of the Kim-Beck blood alliance, the enemy heir's direct contact, and a federal case that could bring both empires crashing down. The homeless woman who had walked into a hospital looking for warmth was gone. In her place stood someone far more dangerous, a woman with options. Everyone will offer you their version of the truth. Your survival depends on finding the version no one wants you to see. The bomb went off at 6 in the morning. A car parked near the front gate exploded with enough force to crack the marble in the entrance hall. 2 of Jin-ho's men were killed instantly. Alarms screamed through the estate. Guards sprinted to positions. Doors locked automatically. The entire compound went into lockdown within 90 seconds. Kendra was thrown from her bed by the blast. She hit the floor, ears ringing, dust falling from the ceiling. Before she could stand, 2 guards were at her door, not to help, to contain. "Stay inside. Do not move." She moved. She found June in the central hall, already dressed, already giving orders. The transformation stopped her cold. The man who had kissed her on the rooftop, who had sat with her on the hallway floor, who had handed her a phone and said, "Run," that man was gone. In his place stood the heir. His voice was calm, precise, deadly. He directed men to positions, made calls that carried the weight of life and death, looked at blueprints of the estate and marked defensive points with a red pen. Jin-ho had been hit by shrapnel, not fatal, but enough to pull him from the field. For the first time, June was running the operation, and he did it like he had been born for it. Because he had. Kendra watched him and felt 2 things at once: fear and a pull so strong it terrified her, because the man giving those orders was the same man who had traced her scar with gentle fingers. Both versions lived inside him, and she wanted him anyway. That scared her more than the bomb. As the lockdown held, Kendra's mind raced. She had three paths. Give the federal case to Sungwoo, let him weaponize it against both families. Give it to June, trust him to do the right thing even if it destroyed his own father. Take it to the authorities herself. Walk away from everything, including June. June found her in the safe room hours later. The tension between them was suffocating. She told him everything: the meeting with Sungwoo, the message on the phone, the offer of freedom. Everything except the federal case. His reaction was not anger, it was pain. You went to my enemy before you came to me? Your father let my mother die. Who exactly am I supposed to trust? Silence. No comfort. No easy answers. Just two people standing in the wreckage of a truth neither asked for. That evening, as the lockdown lifted and the damage was assessed, Tae-sun found Kendra alone in the kitchen. Jin-ho's lieutenant, the enforcer, the man who had blocked her from the East Wing. He stood in the doorway with an expression she had never seen on his face: conflict. "Your mother gave me something before she died," he said. "I have held it for 25 years. I think it is time you had it." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small leather journal, worn, cracked along the spine, pages yellowed with age. Soo-yeon's handwriting. Kendra recognized the Korean characters from the photograph, but the first line was in English, written carefully, written for someone specific. "If you are reading this, my daughter, then they found you before I could." Kendra's knees almost gave way. She held the journal against her chest like it was the only thing keeping her alive. Her mother's words, her mother's voice, reaching across 25 years of silence. Her mother left her a message from beyond the grave, and whatever is in that journal changes every alliance in this story. Subscribe. This is where everything turns. If you leave now, you will spend tonight wondering what Soo-yeon wrote. Trust is not given in a single moment. It is tested in 100 small choices, and sometimes the person who earns it is not the one you expected. Kendra read the journal alone. Soo-yeon's words were raw, desperate, and loving. She wrote about falling in love with a man in the Kim family, not Jin-ho, his younger brother, Hyun-ki, a man who was gentle in a world that punished softness. He was killed in the same war that took Soo-yeon. Kendra was not just the daughter of a translator. She was the daughter of a Kim by blood. By birthright, she was part of the family that both controlled and endangered her. She sat with that truth for a long time. Then she stopped sitting. Kendra now held all the cards: the federal case, the bloodline proof, the journal. She could destroy the Kims, the Bakes, or both. Or she could do something no one in either family had ever attempted: force peace. She contacted Sungwoo and Jin-ho separately, arranged a meeting at the hospital where June nearly died. Poetic, strategic. Both patriarchs arrived with armed men. Both looked at Kendra like she had lost her mind. A 26-year-old former homeless woman standing between two of the most dangerous men in Los Angeles, telling them to sit down. They sat. "I have everything," she said. Her voice did not shake. "The case, the bloodline, the journal. You can fight over me or you can listen to me, but I am done being someone else's secret." She laid out her terms. The federal case gets buried, but only if both families agree to a binding truce, legitimate business transitions over 5 years, and a community fund established in Soo-yeon's name for homeless women and children. Jin-ho laughed, a short, sharp sound. "You expect me to dismantle what I built because a girl from the streets says so?" "I expect you to survive," Kendra said. "Because if this case reaches the wrong desk, you do not get a negotiation. You get a cell." Sungwoo said nothing. He watched her with an expression she could not read. Then he nodded, slowly. I accept. Jinho's laughter died. He looked at his rival, then at Kendra, then at June, who stood behind her, not beside her, behind her, letting her lead. That was the moment the room shifted. June had chosen, not his father's empire, not his family name. He chose the woman who had held his cold hands in a hospital room and refused to let him die. Jinho stared at his son for a long time. Something cracked behind his eyes. Not defeat. Recognition. The same look he gave to Kendra the night she brought June back. Fine, Jinho said. The word sounded like it cost him a decade. The truce was signed, but as they left, Tae-sun pulled June aside. His voice was low, urgent. Your father signed the truce, but he made a phone call 30 minutes ago. I do not know who he called, but I know the tone. It is the tone he uses before someone disappears. June's jaw locked. He looked across the room at Kendra, who was shaking Sungwoo's hand with the steady grip of a woman who had just moved mountains. She did not see the fear in June's eyes, but the audience did. Real power is not violence or money. It is the courage to stand in a room full of dangerous people and offer them something better than war. 3 days after the truce, the city was quiet. Kendra and June stood on the rooftop again. Same view, same cold air, but everything between them had changed. He held her hand. She let him. For the first time since she walked into that hospital, she felt something she barely recognized. Peace. But Kendra had spent enough years on the streets to know that silence is not always safety. Homni Choi came to her that afternoon. The old woman looked tired. Tired of secrets. Tired of carrying weight that was never hers. Jinho's phone call, she said quietly. To a fixer. Someone outside both families. Kendra went still. The target was not you, she said. The federal case. He had every copy destroyed, every digital trace erased. Not to protect you, child, to protect the Kim name. No matter what happens, no matter what truce is signed, the family can never be prosecuted now. Kendra found Jinho in his study. She did not rage, did not threaten. She spoke with the quiet authority of a woman who had survived everything this house had thrown at her. You destroyed my leverage. I protected this family. You forgot something. She stepped closer. I do not need files to be powerful. I have something you have never had. People who follow me because they choose to, not because they are afraid. Jinho looked at her, and for one moment the mask slipped. She saw respect. Real, reluctant, grudging respect from a man who never gave it to anyone who did not hold a weapon. June walked away from the family business that week. Not dramatically, strategically. He told his father he would remain a Kim by name, but build something of his own, with Kendra. Jinho's reaction was complex. Pride, loss, fury. And beneath it all, something he would never say out loud. His son had become the man he never had the courage to be. Together, Kendra and June established the Soo-Yan Foundation, shelter, education, legal support for homeless women and children. Kendra returned to the same streets she once slept on, but this time she walked in with resources, purpose, and power. The woman who had nothing became the reason others did not have to survive alone. A reporter asked her at the opening ceremony how a homeless woman ended up running a foundation backed by one of the most powerful families in the city. Kendra smiled, the kind of smile that carries every storm she had ever weathered. I did not become powerful because someone saved me. I became powerful because I saved someone else and refused to let anyone tell me what that was worth. The cameras flashed, the crowd applauded. June stood beside her, his hand on the small of her back, warm, steady, hers. But as the crowd thinned, Kendra noticed something. Across the street, a parked car with tinted windows, someone watching. Not Bake's people, not Kim's people, someone new. And on the seat beside them, visible for just a second as the window lowered, a leather journal, cracked spine, yellowed pages. A copy of her mother's journal, the one she thought was the only copy. The window rose, the car pulled away. The truce was signed, the foundation was built, the love was real. But the war for the truth, it was just beginning. Your circumstances do not decide your worth. Your choices do. The world will try to use you, label you, and control you, but the moment you decide to use your pain as purpose, you become untouchable. True wealth is not what you collect. True wealth is what you plant in others. And if this story touched your heart, like, share, and subscribe to Tales by Wave for more stories that stay with you long after they end.